Ullasa pallavita palita saptaloki Nirvaha korakita nema katakshalila Sri Ranga Harmyatala Mangala Deeparekham Sri Rangaraja Mahishim Shriyam Ashrayamaha. This is a beautiful verse which speaks about the importance of Mahalakshmi. It says that she shines and she glows like the lamp that is to be lit in every house, but she does not glow in the normal kind of a house. She glows in the beautiful abode of Vaikunt, where Lord Srimad Narayan is. Thereby, being the mother and the father, they glow in each of our hearts. So inside our heart, they reside, both the father and the mother. So this kind of a bonding that we see in Sanatana Dharma is probably the unique selling proposition. So all that we need to understand is the God, the Lord above you, inside you is always there for you. Now, Valmiki, when he started composing Srimad Ramayanam, he says, Sitayas charitam mahat. Probably I have committed a mistake, he says, by calling it Ramayana. It should be Sitayan, he says. Why is it not Ramayana and Sitayan? He says, at the outset, it may look to the viewer, to the listener, to the enjoyer that it is all about Ram. But if you get deep inside it, once you bounce and you swim inside the great river of Ramayana, you get to see that every incident, every particular scene has Sita's importance in it. So to an outsider, it may seem as if it's talking about Ram, but to a person who wants to get inside it, it's called as Avagahanam. If you do it, it talks about the importance of Sita. So, we were talking about the importance of the mother of this universe, we were talking about the importance of Sita in Ramayana, but here we need to understand that she was born to Janak. The Lord, unlike us, has the choice to choose who is his mother and who is his father. We are all people who are under the clutches of karma. Whatever we have done, the previous past, good or the bad deeds, help us say that you are going to be born here. We are never given a choice. Whereas when the Lord is born as Ram, Pitaram rochayamasa tata dasharatham nripam. Pitaram rochayamasa. He thought who should be his father. He thought for some time and then finally said, it has to be Dasharath who has to be my father, and he chose. Likewise is the case with Sita, who is Mahalakshmi, who said that Janak has to be my father. Why so? Janak is a great person. In Bhagavad Gita, the Lord explains about the yogas, karma yogam, jnana yogam, bhakti yogam, swadharma jnana vairagya sadhya bhakti eka gocharaha, narayanaha param brahma, Gita shastre samiritaha is the beautiful shloka which talks about the essence of Bhagavad Gita, called as Gitartha Sangraham by a great Acharya called as Yamunacharya. So there he says the various yogas that have been detailed out in Bhagavad Gita. There the Lord says, hey Arjun, karmanyaiva hi samsiddhim asthita janakadayaha. If one were to talk about karma yoga, one should always remember Janak. So Krishna in Dwapar Yuga thinks about his father-in-law of previous yuga called as Janak, and he says that people should always learn to perform their duties like how Janak did. So this is the importance that has been given to our scriptures, to our great personalities that we see in Itihasas and Puranas. So Janak holds a special position as a person who was very learned, and we will get to see more in one Maha Mantra that comes later. It's called as Iyam Sita Mama Sutta. There we will get to see the importance of Janak more. So to Janak was born Sita, Mahalakshmi, she was called Janaki. And to get her married, he had conducted a great sacrifice, and at the end of it there was a bow that was kept, and this was called as Shiva Dhanush. It was called the bow of Lord Shiv. What does it actually mean? It seems that there was a great battle between Lord Shiv and Lord Vishnu. When we hear such stories, we are always surprised. How can gods actually fight? First reason, gods never fight, and there is one single God, Lord Srimad Narayan, and he is manifested into many. So when we speak of such gods, we do not talk about individual entities trying to fight and making it a very mundane exercise. All that we try to say is whatever they do is to tell us a moral, to convey a message. So Lord Shiv and Lord Vishnu fought. But guess why did they fight? They did not fight just for no reason. They fought because their followers wanted them to fight. This is how it happens in most cases. Leaders of various parties will never want to fight, but the followers will always instigate them for a war. This was probably the case with Lord Shiv and Vishnu. So when they had prepared themselves for a war, they got their bows done, and Shiv had his bow, and so did Vishnu, whose Narayan had his bow. So before the start of a yuddham, it is always the practice in those days to blow the conch. It's called as Shankanadam, the sound that comes out of shank, blowing of the shank. So he took the shank and started blowing it. It is called as Shankanadam. When he blew the conch, that very sound that emanated from Panchajanya, which is the name of the conch which Lord Vishnu holds, the sound that emanated caused cracks in the bow of Lord Shiv. So Lord Shiv said, now that the yuddha is about to begin, my bow had cracks because of the sound that was emanated from Panchajanya. I will not be in a position to fight with Vishnu, so I accept my defeat. And he gave his particular bow to his followers. His followers passed it on to a great king of Chandravamsham, and generation after generation it went, and finally it was given in the hands of Janaka Chakravarti. And Janaka Chakravarti had this great bow. Now Ram, on the other hand, had to come and lift this bow. Before which, let's see how the scenes have been conveyed by great poets and commentators on how Ram walked. When Ram walked on the streets of Ayodhya, it seems that the women there were totally taken away by his beauty, and they all felt, if there were to be a marriage that we were to witness between our great Sita and somebody, it should be only with this Ram, because this Ram is the only person that we have seen in our lifetime who can match the beauty of Sita. And when he walks, you can see the humility. When he walks, you can see the kingly gait with which he walks. When he walks, you can see the great glow that comes from his face, which tells how learned he is. So he is the right person, says Tulsidas in his Ramayana. While Ram was walking, now when I say Ram was walking on the streets of Mithila and he met Sita, or Sita saw him, all these things have not been described by Valmiki in his original Ramayana. But people who came later, who transcreated this great work called Ramayana in their regional versions, they have mentioned about how Ram and Sita met. Now comes an important question. Is it right to say things which are not in the original? Well, this could be a very valid question, for which I would like to tell you one little anecdote from a composition called Narayaniyam in Sanskrit. The entire Bhagavatam, which is a Mahapuran which talks about the different incarnations of Lord Vishnu, has been written in this great Puran of 12 skandhas, 12 cantos and 18,000 shlokas. There was a great person called Narayana Nambudri in down south, and he was a very learned person. Since his guru, his teacher, had great stomachache and paralysis, he said that I should get it transferred to myself and let not my guru suffer, and he got it transferred. To get his pain lowered and to get cured of his diseases, he read the Bhagavatam and started condensing it in a beautiful Sanskritized form of 1000 verses. The original is in 18,000 verses. He wanted to bring that to 1000 plus verses. So he started writing shloka by shloka, and a set of 10 shlokas is called a dashakam. So there are over 100 dashakams, and 100 into 10 will land us somewhere between 1000 and 1034 verses. Now he started composing it. At one certain point of time, he started writing about Navanita Chaurya, that is, how the Lord as Lord Krishna was stealing butter from people. It's a very childlike act, and it is very interesting to the youngsters. So he started writing it. After he penned down that verse, he referred to the original book which is called Bhagavatam, and there it was written that the Lord had used only a stone to break the pot to get the Navanitam, which is butter. But while he composed it, he said that the Lord used both the stone and the stick to get it. He started weeping. He felt that he had not done justice to the original, for he had deviated from the original by including the word stick. So then he closed his eyes and meditated on the Lord and said, "Hey Lord, it is to seek your compassion, it is to seek your blessings that I have been writing this. But look at me, now I feel that I have not done the right thing by actually going away from the original." That time he heard a sound that emanated from the temple from in which he was writing. He turned back to check that there was a little boy who had the peacock feather on his head, pearls that were strung together as a little chain on his head, beautiful black locks of hair, and that extended till his shoulders, beautiful moon-like face. The little boy turned and he smiled at this composer Narayan Bhattadri and looked up, and there was a huge pot of butter. and this boy had a piece of stone in his hand and a stick, and he broke the pot with both of them, and the pot broke open and fell down. And this little boy took that little piece of Navanitam in his hand and looked at the composer Bhattadri. Now this was to tell Bhattadri that in the original, don't worry that there is only the stone and not the rod. I am showing you the stone and the rod to tell you that I did break in that day at that point of time with the stone and the rod. Probably Shuka Brahmam, while detailing the great story of Bhagavat to Parikshit, forgot to mention about the rod. Oh my devotee, whatever my devotees say is the truth, and you have not uttered anything which is against the truth. You have said what is truth, and I did break with both of them. So this is an incident that I would like to cite to those viewers who may be worried that the regional versions, the transcreations of this great epic called as Ramayana might have instances which may go slightly deviated from the original topic, which is Ramayana. But don't get worried, the composers have been blessed by the divine vision of the Lord, by the divine knowledge of the Lord, and they have composed verses that are rich in literature, meaning, inner meaning and swapadesham. So when they speak of instances, don't ever think that they have deviated from the original, because Tulsidas in Hindi, Kamban in Tamil, Adhyatma Ramayanam composer Ezhuthachan in Malayalam, Bhanu Bhaktacharya in Nepali, and Kalidas in Sanskrit again, and many such transcreated versions, the composers have taken the liberty to show instances where Ram met Sita even before marriage, and that was those were things that happened in the city of Mithila. So while Ram was walking on the streets of Mithila, the women in that city, they were enamored by the beauty of Ram, and they thought that Ram should be the husband of Sita. Well, there is another beautiful instance. While Ram left Vishwamitra and Lakshman and wanted to go around the city on his own and look at the beauty, he went in a little cross street, and he was surprised to find a low-lying balcony, and he heard little girls playing there, and he was just inquisitive to see who is playing. And at that point of time, it is believed, the Tamil poet Kamban says, that a girl came running to pick a ball that she was playing with her friends, and she looked at Ram and Ram looked at her. So there is a beautiful verse in Tamil, which is a South Indian language, which says, Yennarum nalattinal இணையள் நின்றொழி கண்ணோடு கண்ணினை கவ்வி ஒன்னை ஒன்னு உண்ணவும் நிலைபெறாது உணர்வு ஒன்றிட அன்னரும் நோக்கினான் அவளும் நோக்கினாள். People who have relished this great Kamba Ramayanam in Tamil can actually recite it along with me. அன்னரும் நோக்கினான் அவளும் நோக்கினாள். Both the hero Ram saw her and she also saw him. As per grammar, this may be a grammatically wrong sentence. Let's see how. If you go to a shop and the shop's board reads, this store or this shop is open even on Sundays. What does it mean? It means that the shop is open on other days. He won't write Sunday also the shop is working, Monday also the shop is working, Tuesday also the shop is working. When he says that Sunday also the shop is working, it means that it is working on other days. Likewise, if the poet says that Ram also saw Sita, it is implied that Sita also saw Ram. Why should there be two consecutive sentences which reads Ram also saw Sita and Sita also saw Ram? See, these kind of sentences as per Indian grammar, if I have to talk about the language where the verse comes from, in Tamil grammar, both implying that he also saw her and she also saw him can come together in only one instance if it is an accident. If Ram had told Sita, hey Sita, we'll meet at this particular point of time at this particular point, at this particular place, then these two sentences couldn't have come consecutively. But Ram never thought of meeting Sita. Sita never thought that she'll be meeting Ram. So the moment Ram saw Sita and the moment Sita saw Ram, it was an accident. More than an incident, it was an accident. So in cases when it is accidental, you can use consecutive sentences which convey the meaning. Ram also saw Sita, Sita also saw Ram. People go still further and say that Ram, he was so enamored by her beauty, so surprised and so happy that he didn't open his mouth. So did Sita. So it were their eyes that spoke of the emotions that they had. It seems Sita had gone to Upavan, which is a bagicha garden, And this is what Tulsidas in Ramcharitmanas states, that while Sita along with her friends went to the temple in the garden, she saw Ram come there. And the moment she saw Ram, she took a photo of how the scene was along with Ram. And let's see, once the photo frame went inside, once she caught a snap of it, how did she let it out, whether she let it out or she kept it inside. But we need to wait for what were the emotions of Sita for the next episode. Thank you.